Hello, everyone. This is Luis Concepcion from Strategic Profit Line Trading, coming to you with the plan of the week for week number 3. As always, here's our disclosures. This content is for educational purposes only and not providing any investment advice. Past performance does not guarantee future results. All investment and trades involve risks, and this is not tailored to one individual. Here's our agenda for the week. I'll be covering the news, provide a market overview of the indices, and this week we have 211 companies reporting earnings. Pretty slow week to start. Week two provided 20 zones. We went 1-0 in options. No entry was 17 and 2 in progress, which is going to be City and CFG. But this week, the market is closed on Monday, and then earnings kicks off on Tuesday. This is what the outlook is looking like. Like I said, we got 211 companies reporting, and we got a couple of big ones this week, and next week even a bigger week. So we should get busy here in the next couple of weeks. BlackRock was with the trade that worked for us this week. So you can go back and look at that. But BlackRock was the one that worked for us. Moving into the news this week, as everybody knows, Monday is closed. The U.S. market is closed, and it is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and we have the inauguration. So it's going to be interesting on everything that's said and how that's going to impact the market on Tuesday. Moving on to Tuesday, pre-market, the Canadian dollar will be affected for those of you trading futures and Forex. Nothing for the U.S. markets. Midday, the New Zealand dollar will be affected. On Wednesday, we have no news impacting the U.S. markets. And then we move on to Thursday, where we have the Canadian dollar again being affected. And then pre-market, we have unemployment claims. So you can see some volatility pre-market or into the open. Everything for the Japanese yen after hours is tentative. And then Friday, we have the euro being affected. So in turn, that will affect the US dollar, which can affect the US markets. And at 15 minutes after they open, we have two PMI reports. So that can also affect us for some increased volatility on Friday. Moving into the charts for this week, starting with the SPX, also known as the S&P 500, our level held pretty nicely that I gave last week, and we just came, touched it, and took off, and we're coming back into the supply area. Both these levels are still valid. Just realize that the supply zone has already worked once. That supply level being 6033 to 6092 on the supply side, and on the demand side, we just touched this and took off. That's going to be 5771 to 5692. Moving on to the DJX, also known as the Dow Jones, are another level that held for us pretty nicely. That was the 420 to 438. Now that that level has worked, I'm going to remove it. And I'm going to put us at the 417.45 to 414.21 for demand. And on the supply side, 446.77 to 450.94. Moving on to the NASDAQ. And there we go. Our NASDAQ hit pretty nicely as well. Took off from the 2680 level to 2383 on this demand side. And we have supply at 21,913 to 22,076. With the inauguration in play this week, should be interesting what happens to the market. And we have a couple of big hitters next week reporting earnings. So be mindful of that. With that being said, I'm going to change this level to the bottom of this entry where we just touched and took off. That level is going to be 2540 to 2383. Moving on to the rut. As you can see, the rut pretty much slow, staying in the sideways range like usual, like what the rut likes to do. This level was pretty deep, 2183 to 2144. Given that this level worked, I am going to remove it. And on the supply side, we're going to have 2333.73 to 2370.13 with our early level in the year working and providing more supply. On the demand side, I'm going to give you 2018 to 1956. And that's going to do it for the indices. Now, moving into earnings, starting with Tuesday morning, we got 3M. So this is the level that's been holding 3M. You can see it's worked once, two, three, four, 5 times. So in the event this level doesn't hold, however, that's 126.59 to 122.10, which is demand. And if they have bad earnings and happens to break this level, we have a level sitting at 105.27 and 95.19. And on the supply side, we have the 141.60 to 156.16. We hit this level and fell pretty sharply from there. So expecting this level to hold once again and remaining in this range for 3M. So we can see what's going to be the result of that Tuesday morning. Continuing on with Tuesday morning, we got Charles Schwab on the supply side, 82.82 to 86.77, and on the demand side, 57.11 to 53.54. Moving on to DR Horton. On the demand side, 123.22 to 116.15, and on the supply side, 178.34 to 184.40. We are right in the middle. Next, what I got for you is for First Third Bank. Most of the banks reported last week, but we got a couple of stragglers on the demand side, 31.58 to 29.94, and on the supply side, 53.18 to 57.44. Next company I have for you is PLD, Pro Logistics. On the demand side, 99.80 to 96.58. In the event of an overshoot, we have another level at 91.71 to 79.98. And on the supply side, 134.15 to 137.63. Tuesday afternoon, one of the biggies, we got Netflix reporting. I'm going to remove this level because I'm not sure what's going to happen on Tuesday with the market and everything that's going on. So I'm going to change that level to the following. It's going to be 915.37 to 942.15 on the supply side. And on the demand side, 799.43 to 78.98. If the event of an overshoot, you have the 765.88 to 742.88. Moving on to United Airlines, no supply as the all-time high was 110.92. First demand level I have for you is sitting at 75.25 to 71.69. All the airlines have been on a magnificent push to the upside this year. Next company I got for you is Capital One, no supply. Again, another bank, all-time highs was 198.30. First demand level I have for you is 165.71 to 159.66. Next company I have for you is Zion. On the demand side, 44.02 to 42.30. On the supply side, 62.63 to 66.88. Next company I have for you is PG. Moving on, this is going to be on Wednesday, so P&G. On the demand side, 148.21 to 146.23, and on the supply side, 174.24 to 176.79. Next company is Abbott Laboratories. This is the level that's been holding Abbott. That level is going to be 118.82 to 121.54 on the supply side. And on the demand side, I got 97.10 to 91.26. Next company, Johnson & Johnson. Just coming off of this demand zone at 142.27 and 137.44. If it continues to push up, there's a possibility we can push up to the 167.25 to 169.77, and that's the first supply zone I have for you on Johnson & Johnson. Next company I have for you is Halliburton. Cheaper stock. So for those of you who like to trade on lower price stocks, here's one for you. That's 24.91 to 23.27 on the demand side, 35.76 to 37.09 on the supply side. Next company I have for you is Ali Bank. On the demand side, 30.92 to 29.05. And on the supply side, 46.55 to 47.62. Next company I have for you is ComAmerica, CMA. On the supply side, 73.98 to 77.28, with another level right on top of it going to 80.22. On the demand side, 44.27 to 40.42. Next company I have for you is Alcoa. So on the demand side, 28.22 to 26.11, and on the supply side, 49.79 to 51.37. Next company is FCX. Report. On the demand side, 33.97 to 32.51, and on the supply side, 52.45 to 53.93. Moving on to Thursday. First company I have for you is Elevance Health. On the supply side, 468.78 to 510.52, and on the demand side, 303.68 to 284.85. Next company is McCormick. On the demand side, 66.40 to 64.20, and on the supply side, 85.39 to 87.67. Next company is Texas Instruments. All-time high was 220.39. I have no supply for you. First demand level I have for you is sitting at 179.28 to 172.16. Next company is CSX. On the demand side, 30.71 to 29.96, and I do not believe I have supply for you on this company. So that's going to be CSX. And then moving on to Friday, the last company I have for you is going to be Verizon. So for Verizon, on the demand side, 36.17 to 35.22, and then on the supply side, 45.22 to 46.56. That's going to do it for our charts this week. For those of you who are not doing so already, feel free to follow me on social media. Check out the website and check out the blog. Feel free to email me if you have any questions or want me to cover anything in these videos. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and like button. Till next time, see you next week. Happy trading.